When we talk about World War II, particularly the brutal winter of 1944, the story of the Ardennes becomes one of the most dramatic, shocking, and defining moments of the entire conflict. Many people know it today as the Battle of the Bulge, but behind the large-scale maps, dates, and troop numbers, there were smaller, chilling moments happening on forest roads, inside captured jeeps, and at lonely crossroads where signboards leaned sideways after explosions. It's in these forgotten corners of the battlefield that the true character of the war is revealed, and it's one of these moments we're going to explore today. Not through a dry lecture, but through a deep review of what actually unfolded when German forces pushed through American lines, capturing supplies, vehicles, and territory, often before the Americans even realized how large the attack truly was. Imagine the setting. A cold morning in December. Snow gathers in thick layers along narrow forest roads. Trees stand tall and silent like dark corridors stretching into the unknown. You hear the distant rumble of engines, not knowing whether they belong to friend or enemy. A wooden signboard points toward Bastogne in one direction and Malmedy in another, the paint faded, the wood splintered by shrapnel. These were not just markers, they were lifelines for soldiers who often had no idea which direction safety lay. It was here, at these crossroads, that German soldiers often encountered abandoned or captured American jeeps. Fuel shortages were crippling the German advance, so any vehicle they could get their hands on, especially one loaded with American gasoline, was priceless. A captured jeep wasn't just a trophy, it was a strategic asset. To the Germans, a single functioning vehicle could mean reaching a key town, cutting off an American escape route, or scouting ahead before Allied reinforcements arrived. One such moment, widely discussed by historians and often recreated in documentaries, involves German troops studying a map atop a captured American jeep. The men are exhausted, their uniforms covered in snow and mud, their gloves stiff from the cold. One soldier leans over the hood with a compass, another scans the treeline for movement, while a third checks the fuel gauge, knowing full well that if the tank runs dry, they're stranded in enemy territory. It's a scene frozen in time in countless World War II photographs, silent, tense, filled with uncertainty. This is the kind of moment that tells the real story far better than any battlefield overview or list of statistics ever could. The German offensive, launched on December 16, was bold, desperate, and shockingly effective at first. The Allies had grown overconfident, believing the Ardennes forest was too dense, too difficult, and too quiet for any major attack. Their lines were thin, held by inexperienced American divisions who had been placed in the area to rest, not to fight. No one expected armored German divisions with heavy tanks to smash through the fog-filled woods like a hammer hitting glass. But that's exactly what happened. As German columns advanced, they often disguised themselves, sometimes using captured American equipment. There are records of German troops wearing American uniforms, riding American jeeps, and even answering checkpoints in perfect English to trick Allied soldiers. It was psychological warfare mixed with guerrilla-style tactics, highly unusual for the German army but incredibly effective during the early hours of the attack. But not every captured vehicle or crossroads moment was part of a planned deception. Sometimes, it was simple survival. German fuel reserves were disastrously low. Commanders urged their men to capture American gasoline at all costs. In some cases, entire units stalled in the snow because their tanks had run dry. Imagine being deep inside enemy territory, engines silent, cold creeping into your bones, and knowing that retreat was impossible. The only way out was forward, and the only hope of moving forward was the fuel carried in American supply convoys. One German colonel famously inspected a massive hull of captured American fuel, tens of thousands of gallons, and realized that the quality of American gasoline was so superior that it could give their vehicles better performance than the fuel they had been using themselves. For soldiers who had been suffering from shortages for months, it was both a relief and a grim reminder of the overwhelming industrial power the Allies possessed. Meanwhile, American troops on the ground experienced the shock of the attack in a more personal, chaotic way. Many young soldiers described suddenly hearing gunfire from behind the treeline, seeing shells burst over snowy fields, and witnessing entire convoys ambushed before they had time to understand what was happening.